everyone, sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I forgot to set the camera to horizontal, so I had to figure out how I could go back and change it. So I'm just getting set up. Hi everyone, sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I forgot to set the camera to horizontal, so I had to figure out how I could go back and change it. So I'm just getting set up. I'm just pulling it so I can see on my iPad. That way I'll be able to see the chat. Camera to horizontal. And if you see me looking in two different places, I'm also streaming to TikTok. So I can hi Arnetta. That way I'll be able to see the chat. Oh, it's super cold here in New York as well. I only left my house once today. That was to go to the post office. Are you expecting snow? I've been watching the weather all day across the country and seeing like New Orleans and Florida getting snow. So it's really wild to see these places. But I feel really bad because they don't have the equipment to take care of it. Hey Beth, how's it going? And Florida getting snow. So it's really wild to see these places. Hearing an echo. Hold on. All right, let's see. The equipment to take care of it. Hey Beth. How's it going? And Florida getting snow, so it's really wild to see these places. Hearing an echo. Hold on. All right, let's see. The equipment to take care of it. Hey Beth. How's it going? And Florida getting. Okay. Hopefully, I accidentally swiped. I was swiping out of things. It was so weird. It was my phone was talking back, but it didn't have YouTube open, so let me know if you guys still hear an echo. Hi Lucy, how you doing? Oh, perfect. Thanks, Krista. Thank you for letting me know. Krista, are you getting snow? Yeah, that was, I like what's funny is like I could hear it through my phone, but I didn't realize that it was like coming through the the speakers for everybody. Oh, thanks, Dad. Perfect. Oh, not in Orlando. Okay, not far enough south. Oh, Lucy, that's so exciting. Thanks, Arnetta. Yeah, the Cupid box looked really cool. I loved all the materials. I did not snag one, but that's super exciting. I can't wait to see everybody sewing them up. And the pattern was really cute too with the hearts. So tonight I had an extra clue 1 from Cotton Cuts when I did Tree of Life. And so I've been seeing, well, two things. I've really been enjoying making quilted bags lately. Like I have a quilted Addie shoulder bag that I'm carrying regularly now. But I've also seen a lot in the quilting groups, people wanting to learn to make bags, but they think you have to make a bag by making like the quilt sandwich and then like binding everything. So I want to do some videos showing how us as bag makers with a variety of patterns, basically you could use quilted materials in any bag pattern. So since I have these extra pieces that are already cut for me, I figured that I'm gonna kind of just put them together into no right or wrong order, just trying to make a big piece of fabric that I'm eventually going to quilt onto fusible fleece and then build a bag from there. So tonight I plan on working on this. Hi Mary. Oh my gosh, in Texas. Wow. Yeah, I hope that there's not like a lot of damage or casualties, because I know that when down south gets hit, it turns really bad because you just don't have the infrastructure to clean it. Hi Nicole. Yeah, so I'm just, like I said, I'm going to take some of these different pieces and see what I can kind of put together and make with it. And I feel like it will be like therapeutic in a way, just, I don't want to say mindless, but just kind of working on things. Oh, it's supposed to refreeze. Yeah, the ice is what's like really dangerous. Here in New York, we got snow starting like Sunday afternoon into Monday, but everything is pretty icy, especially where if people didn't clean off like their sidewalks and stuff. So I'm not looking forward to having to walk to the train tomorrow. So I changed out my thread from last week. I put in the text 35. I kept a 70-10 needle in. I'm going to see how it goes. I might have to up the needle. And I'm hoping that it doesn't keep like eating the fabric like it just did, or breaking like it did last week on me. Yeah, I keep all my scraps. Like, if I have a couple bins behind me on the floor, if you could see it, it's it's a mess. But basically, if a piece of fabric is larger than like 1 inch square, regardless of the type of fabric, whether it's cotton, waterproof canvas, cotton lycra, I keep it. So I've shown before in some of my videos how I'll use like the waterproof canvas scraps as like backing, as like a buffer for rivets and stuff. So the cotton scraps I definitely want to put together as quilts, and I love bright colors, and I really like certain things I like symmetrical, but then other things I kind of like all mishmash. So I really like the idea of crumb quilts. So that's kind of my plan for this, is just to put it together with no particular order and cut out a bag from it. So I'm just using some of the smaller pieces to make some half square triangles. Oh, that's an awesome idea. Quilted journal covers. Yeah, I was actually thinking of sewing a quilted book sleeve. So, yeah, so that's my plan tonight, to kind of just put these pieces all together, and then either next week in a live, or make a more like structured video showing how you can use quilted pieces to still make all the bags that we really enjoy. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do tonight for a variety of things. I was home this past weekend and didn't get back. We had like Monday off for Martin Luther King. But then I had a death in the family, so I'm going back home this coming weekend. And so my sewing machine was already like all set up to sew quilting cotton. So it just kind of worked out. And I like the idea that I don't have to, think about it too much. I can just put together any which way, and there's not really a right or wrong way to do it. Yeah, so if you sew and you're in the chat, let me know if you have ever made like quilted, whether it's bags or book sleeves, something other than like your just traditional quilt. Because I also see that it's been really popular. I kind of want to take my puff quilt tutorial that I did for like for the pillowcase, and use the same concept to turn it into a bag, because I've noticed a lot of people carrying quilted bags lately. Thank you so much, Lucy. And I could probably like chain stitch a lot of these, but I just figured that I'm gonna kind of do a couple at a time and just play around and add them on to each other and such. How is the only by Annie pattern I ever did was like this little, turns into like a little square, I don't want to say container, it doesn't have a cover, but like basically a square pouch that I had put some clips in and stuff. I see her patterns recommended all the time for quilted items, But then I know she uses like more traditional quilting techniques where you make the front and the back quilted. It's not like a birth bag or whatnot. Use all the binding and stuff. Hi, Liz. Liz, how much snow do you have? All right, so I think I'm gonna mix and match some of these with the regular squares here as well. None? You guys missed out in Alabama, or just you're like above it? It's funny, I was watching a live earlier today. I believe it was Jess from Jessica Grace and Bacon, and she was saying that her daughters had never seen snow, so she was going to wake them up so they could see it when they got it. Oh, that's good to know, Krista, using just quilting it as the back already. Yeah, because anytime I've done a quilted one, I just did the lining. Like, I'll quilt this directly onto fusible fleece, but not have a backing, and just like the lining, like on quilted. And I did do foam when I made one of my willow wristlets, and I really liked the structure that that gave. I guess I'll have to figure out what kind of bag that I make. Because depending, it might be better to quilt this onto foam. And because I have like no plan in mind, I'm literally just pressing these to either side. So what are some of the projects that you guys have going for you or working on right now? Oh, okay, Liz. Well, that worked out for you. I was thinking about you, but I bet you still have much colder weather than what you're used to. Oh, that's great. I've never tried the Trailblazer, but I do really like the look of it. That's a big bag. I feel like I love using a backpack to commute to work. Um, so I feel like that would make a really good work bag. The midi tote for the bag of the month. I don't know if I've seen that tote yet, Arnetta. I'll have to look. Which designer is that? Sorry, I'm just like laying out some pieces to see how I can maybe fit this together. Because I think this is the only larger triangle that I have. I really love bag stocks patterns though. I find they're really well written and easy for me to follow. Lucy, I don't know. That's hard because sometimes when I get new projects, I'm like, oh, I want to do this right away. So I probably would be diving into the box. I'm trying to keep it so it's like mixed up and I'm not putting too many of the same colors together. Oh, by Spencer Ogg. I'll have to look at that one. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't picture what that one looks like. You have a Rowena. I think it's pronounced Rowena. That's awesome. I love the, I have not made one of them either, but I love the look of the zippers on the side of that bag. An alteration. Yeah, I give you guys so much credit, all you garment makers, especially anything with alterations. One of my aunts asked me today if I do anything with like putting in a zipper in like a jacket, and I was like, you really don't want me to do that, especially if you want it to look nice. I was like, anything that needs something that's gonna look like, you definitely want to bring that to a tailor. Oh, right, because with the bag of the month, it takes what is it, three months or 6 months before the designer is allowed to release it. I know there's a little bit of overlap. Liz, yeah, anything formal, oh my gosh. One of my best friends growing up, her mom is an amazing seamstress. So if we need any like fancy dress alterations, like for weddings, she made her wedding dress and stuff. It's phenomenal. You made a prom dress? Oh, that sounds amazing. I think it would be so cool to learn how to do that. But I figure I start with the knits because those are more forgiving. Though I did over winter break, I made a shirt for myself. Um, it was a Love Notion. I believe it was a Love Notions pattern because they have different sizing that you can start with, and that one I was actually really happy with the fit, but I still need to hem it. Yeah, I don't blame you, Liz. I feel like if sewing especially is your enjoyment for things that you don't really enjoy, bringing it to somebody else or it might work out better. That way you don't end up becoming mad or not wanting to sew your own stuff that brings you joy. I'm trying to line up the centers as best I can. But I'm not being too picky about this because I'm just gonna make this as wide as I can, and then cut out my pattern pieces from it. I can totally understand that, right? Like using one thing to pay for the next. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I can't. First of all, I don't even know where to begin with a zipper in a piece of clothing. But then just having it look nice too, with like a more professional finish. Yeah, exactly, Nicole. If you don't like doing the stuff, definitely worth it to pass it on to someone else. I'm trying to, again, to figure out like how I can make some of these. There we go. I'm gonna do a flying geese. How I can put the different sizes together in a way that makes sense. And this is kind of nice too because since this was all pre-cut for the clue, I don't have to worry about it. It's not really fraying. Like the pieces kind of all go together. And Cotton Cuts does some, they're called stitchets, and it's like pre-cut pieces like this all ready to go. So I might have to order some if I'm gonna keep, if I keep end up making all these quilted bags and pieces. I think that might be a good idea, so I'm not having to cut everything myself. I can totally relate to that. I have a shirt that I made for my nieces in the summertime that I still haven't hemmed. I keep joking by the time that I finish it, they're not gonna even like fit that size anymore. Hey Kim, how are you doing? How are the puppies? I'm trying to remember to like hand crank this in or hold the tails. Um, I've gotten into the habit of not holding the tails, and I think that's part of my problem when I use quilting cotton, that it keeps pushing it down into the feed dogs. They've been napping. That's good. At least they're not running around driving you crazy. They're so cute. Is George being a good big brother? Yeah, so Liz, I find that I started using a leader, but then I found it more like annoying that I constantly had to like keep pushing it through and sewing something. Um, but I might have to do that again if it keeps happening. I feel like depending on the quilting cotton, some gives me more trouble than others. Though I do like when I stitch them all, like if I'm stitching multiple at a time, that helps because like the piece in front of it acts like that leader already. So I'm also super excited because we just got notice that our pre-order is done printing and it's shipping. So we should have it, if everything goes correct, goes well. I don't want to jinx it. In a couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to. We have some waterproof canvas prints coming in, and what we're calling Majestic fabric, which is that like bonded nylon style. So I'm really excited to get that in with some of our prints. Oh, probably. He's probably so excited to have like friends and 2 friends now. Yeah, so the Valentine's set, it's not like bundled on my website like in one like we're like one click of a button, but if you look for the stuff, the hearts is under the water resistant canvas, and then the red zipper pulls under pulls, the webbing under the webbing, and the zipper tape under zipper tape. So you'd have to like basically put the bundle together. But everything on our website is on sale right now, so it's also a good bargain. I really love sewing with the water resistant canvas because since it has the PU coating, it's pretty sturdy still. But it doesn't have like the thicker PVC, so on a domestic it works really great. Aw. Well, maybe George will likes the attention while they're napping. Like now he gets like the human attention. Alright, so far I have just like this piece all just randomly you can see put together. So I think what I'm going to do is create like another section the same length and put them together side by side. And I have these square like rectangles, smaller rectangles, which I'm not quite sure. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how they fit in. I don't remember. This was so like this beginning of the pack was so long ago that I'm trying to think like how they all attach to each other. I think I'm gonna do like a strip. Oh, Beth, you don't have to say sorry. I really appreciate you tagging me all the time, but you totally don't need to. When I get done, I'm gonna share it. Is that the one? I think I might have seen it. Is it the Emporium's new or one of her prints? Is that it? It's funny. Well, not funny. It's been so tedious. The all day, today and yesterday, I have been going through and like doing all our inventory. So we've done a lot of single pull zipper pull sales because normally we sell in like the pack of 5. So our counts are really like off right now. So I've been going through and counting everything and trying to get it all set so I can submit for taxes and stuff. But oh, that was cute. I love that fabric. So are any of you reading Onyx Storm, the 3rd book that just came out from Fourth Wing? I know quite a few people have gotten it and started it. I didn't pre-order it or anything, so I haven't gotten it yet. I have a few that I'm finishing up right now, but I'm looking forward to it. Oh, she's happy. Has she started reading it? Thankfully, I know there was some spoilers, but I have not seen any spoilers, thankfully. Oh, nice. Yeah, my sister got hers for the Kindle, but I'll have to pick up a hard copy because when it's like fantasy or sci-fi books, I share with my dad and my sister too. But my sister growing up really didn't like fantasy. It's more a more recent thing. So if you have any ideas for what type of bag do you think this fabric would look good as, definitely feel free to give me your suggestions. I'm not quite sure yet. Oh, Lucy, I can imagine. That must be really hard trying to take care of a kid in downtime. I know my sister reads a lot at night when they go to bed. For me, I read like every single night before I fall asleep. If I don't have a book to at least read like one page, it's so hard for me to fall asleep. Thickness just gave me trouble on that one, but like sometimes if it's not gonna notice, like I don't even bother unpicking it. I'll just like re-sew over that line. Probably not a good practice, but I'm like, you're not gonna see it. As long as it holds together in the end. There's a lot of pieces. When I did the quilt, I did the large size. Um, so I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot in here. I'm trying to measure out. It doesn't need to be like perfectly even on the end because um I'm gonna like cut this and whatnot, cut out patterns from it. But I wanted to try to get them somewhat the same size. So I'm just trying to see like what I would need to add to it to get to it. It's kind of nice. Like sometimes I'm so like have to follow the pattern, or it's kind of feels good to just put these together in any particular order and not worry about it. Hi, Linda. How are you? Thanks for joining in. I really, really look forward to Tuesdays. Like I said, I was like all day, I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to work on tonight. I'm like, hopefully this is okay. For me, it's something that I have been wanting to do. Like I said, is make the quilted bags. And when I started with the idea of the Tuesday lives, I'm like, it works out good because like whatever I happen to be working on at the time, I'll just sew. So I appreciate everybody joining in regardless of what I'm making or working on. It's funny because I can hear my machine and I'm like, I really need to um, open it up. Like there's screws up here and down here and oil it. And I just remember as like a new sewist, I'd be like, well, how can you tell? People are saying, oh, well, you'll hear it. And it's so funny how it's true. Like the more you sew, you actually like start to hear and understand your machine. Yeah, Liz, exactly. It's kind of nice to just be like, what am I working on? All right, let's do this. Yeah, I love the idea of the new wardrobe. Like that has to feel so like satisfying knowing that what you're wearing like you created. Oh, Linda, I'm glad. I'm a night person, so I love the later. And also, too, during the daytime, it's hard for me to catch if I'm at work. So, yeah, I love nighttime. And it's also nice to just be able to, sew and chat with everybody and kind of relax before bed and having to get ready for work the next day. Like I said, I'm so not looking forward to going out in the cold tomorrow. And it's funny because I'll dress warm because it's freezing, but then I get to the subway and the subway cars have the heat on so hot. So I like try to make sure I'm dressing in layers that are easy that I could remove and hold my coat or hat or whatnot. Alright, I think these are about the same length. So let's see. Yeah, they line up perfectly, really. So the only one that has a seam is this here, so I'm gonna try to match that seam. But if it doesn't turn out completely lined up, that's okay. Oh wow, Kim, it had to be cold for Minnesota to cancel. Here in New York, they very very rarely cancel. I've been here for 15 years, and I probably can count on two hands the amount of time that they've canceled school. Mostly because not so much the older kids, like middle school and high school, because they can apply to go to schools in any borough, but the elementary schools um, are like within walking distance for most students. But even at my parents this weekend, they're just like 2 hours north of me or northeast, and there was like a 10 or 15 degree difference between our New York temperatures. And actually, when we were driving back too, it's when the cold air was supposed to hit, and within like a 5 mile distance, the temperature dropped 10 degrees. So we actually got back with like perfect timing before the road started to get bad. That's so funny. If you're about 3 feet. Yeah, I'm really spoiled this year. Like I'm a teacher, but I'm working out of the central offices in New York City. And because I don't have a classroom and I'm not based in one school, I'm allowed to work 2 days remote. So my position is only for 2 years though. So come June, I'm either going back into the classroom or I'll have to find a different position. And so I've been watching different openings to try to stay working out of the offices because I've really been spoiled by being able to work remotely. Oh, good luck, Kim. Dress warm. Oh my god, -36. That sounds terrible. I don't know if I'd be going to take out puppies. You're brave. I have kind of a thick seam here, so I'm just pressing it, making sure it's going in the correct direction. All right, awesome. So now I have this section here, again, completely random because I have all these pieces. Let's see. I tucked the other one down. So see, I can put these two together and make it as wide. This one is a little bit longer, but I think it's okay. I'm gonna hold off sewing them together. I'm debating if it's better to make them like taller or wider. Oh, Middle Tennessee, 15. Yeah, one of the women I was watching today was like her daughters hadn't seen snow and she was in Tennessee. So that's exciting, I guess, for some people, or very miserable for others. No, Linda, you didn't miss it. So this was a leftover. I had an extra week one from a puzzle mystery quilt from Cotton Cuts. So I am literally I have all the pieces laid out here and just randomly placing them together because my end goal tonight, I'm just putting them all together, but I want to make a bag out of it. I want to make a quilted bag using the methods that are not necessarily like making the quilt sandwich and using binding. So like how we sometimes birth bags or do drop-in linings. So I'm not quite sure what kind of bag it's going to become. I was thinking about even like a book sleeve, or for my job, I go observe teachers and I use an iPad. So I was thinking of making maybe like a padded iPad sleeve. So yeah, I don't really have an end plan yet, besides knowing it's going to be a quilted type of bag. All right, and I'm just laying out the pieces again so I have an idea of how many I have. And I have these large triangles, which I'm not quite sure what I can put next to them to make them fit. Because I do have this medium-sized triangle where if I had put two of them together that they would have worked with it. But I only have this one print of fabric, or yeah, one colorway. So I'm trying to figure out how to best use these. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I made a quilted, like I have a pattern, it's called the Winter Crescent bag, and it kind of has like a hobo shape to it. And I did a quilted one of them before with the half square triangles. So that would probably look really nice as quilted. Yeah, I was saying earlier that I really noticed a trend with quilted bags. It's funny because I was never really into like fashion or anything like that growing up, and it's still like not my thing, like, you know, but I do notice more bags people are carrying because I'm like curious. I'm like, ooh, what shape is it, or how is it made? Yeah, so see, like sewing these together right now, that front piece did work well as a leader. But now I gotta plan, like, what other ones am I putting together? Yeah, I saw that corduroy is coming back. I've seen it in a couple of the bag making groups, people using it. I haven't really seen it um in like stores. But I guess like I haven't really been in a quilt store in a while, and the only other store is really Joann's. But I wasn't looking for it either. I wonder where people are sourcing their corduroy. There's a company in New York called Fab Scrap, which you might have heard of. They take like fabric from the fashion world here in New York City. It's it's like illegal for them to throw away their scraps. So they take it and then will resell it. So sometimes you can get scraps or extra yardage, and they have a warehouse in Brooklyn, but they also sell online, and that's pretty cool because you can find like leather or all a variety of different fabrics. So I know corduroy has also come back like as pants and different things I've seen in the stores. So I wonder if they have any. Oh, Emmeline is selling some? Oh, nice. I'll have to check it out. You made corduroy pants? I definitely never tried making them, but I owned a few pairs, but that was the late 90s. Oh, that's cool, Nicole. Like that where they take it from the, the scraps of what would have normally went to the landfills. And that's definitely another reason why I keep all my scraps. I'm definitely like I'm very big into recycling and taking care of the earth and that type of thing. So I try to reuse or use up every single piece of material, or even batting or interfacing, where they call it, what is it, like Franken batting, where you take all the little pieces and you put them together. If I'm making a bag for myself, I'll totally do that with the interfacing. Oh, she added it to her pre-order. That's awesome. I didn't know Jenna added it. That's great. Yeah, I can't remember if it was the Sew Whatever group or creative bag making, but I've definitely seen a few purses in corduroy, and it just looks so cool. Especially for the winter months, these cold months, I think that my brain thinks of corduroy as like cold weather fabric. Nicole, with your journals, do you use a particular pattern or have you created your own? And then do you like, does it fit like a notebook or a notepad that goes into it? As a teacher, I find all the different patterns for anything that, like the book sleeves or notepads and stuff, they appeal to me. Oh, that's great, Nicole. And I know when I put this together, I'm definitely going to um, quilt it onto the fusible fleece first before cutting out my pattern pieces. That way it doesn't shrink up or anything like that. I have like the extra long piece again, so I'm just trying to figure out how I best want to fit these in. Oh, okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I definitely want to see. I love the idea of journaling and like a planner, and I always say I'm gonna start and like keep with it, and then I always give up. But my mom got me a planner this year from her job, so I'm trying to actually be mindful because I think it'll be really helpful organizing um, the different lives. And one of my goals for YouTube is to film at least 2 tutorials each month where they're like pre-recorded, where I put the timestamps in and give the full length tutorial. Trust me, Nicole, I understand. I literally have probably, I want to say, at least 40,000 photos on my phone. I'm one of those people that never ever delete them. So it's great if, you know, I can remember where it is, but it also makes it really hard to go back and find. I think what I'm going to do with these larger pieces is at the end just maybe like sew them on top, because I don't have anything that's going to make it into like a square to fit better. And so that way I'll still have part of it. And I don't think I want to put two side by side. And I barely use like any clips all night. I'm just you know, if it wiggles a little bit, it doesn't need to be precise since nothing has to line up. On TikTok, let me see. How do I? Hi, Hope. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, so I'm streaming TikTok too. It's so hard sometimes because people join in and out of TikTok that it moves the questions. So what's holding the threads? So this is the pegboard from IKEA, and so I have these longer hooks. And these are Tex 35 rolls from Wizardry Stitchery. So they just kind of sit with enough that they fit perfectly. I'm not sure how the larger rolls, like the Tex 70 or 80, if people use the larger pegs for them. But that's what I use for that. And then these are just, they have little clips in for the containers, and obviously these are the flat shelves. Oh, I guess you can't. Oh yeah, and so on TikTok you can see the containers, but on YouTube, the way the camera is, you can't. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to scroll. Oh, the New York company from, okay. The company is called Fab Scrap, like FAB Scrap. If you search them, they have warehouses in Brooklyn and they opened one in Philadelphia. You can shop in person or you can order online, and it's all fabric that's been saved from like the fashion industry and to keep it out of landfills. And have I ever made placemats? I have bought at Joann's. They have like a pre-made placemat thing where it's like a quilt as you go. Let me see. I think I know where it is. Let me check real quick. I'm like organized chaos. So I bought this at Joann's Fabrics. It is the Taylor brand, and it's printed on batting. So it has this, you can see it has like the stripes. And I made these using a Halloween jelly roll. So I've made a couple placemats using these. But I've never tried to make a placemat on my own where I just like put it together myself. This was my only experience with it, and I actually really recommend it. It turned out really well, and like I said, it does use the quilt as you go method. So you're sewing your back lines at the same time as you're adding a new stripe. But it works great. If you haven't heard of this, I definitely recommend. And it does give some instructions, and I just searched this, the Taylor brand quilt as you go, and I found a couple tutorials on YouTube that were really helpful. Oh, you screenshot that? That's helpful. Oh, good. Yeah, if I missed something, like just let me know. I hope I went back. Thank you for letting me know, because like I said, I actually use two phones and stream simultaneously. And with TikTok, people come in and out so quickly, it's hard for me to see all the comments. Oh, good. I'm glad I got everything. yeah, I'm so glad to have like TikTok back. Um, I'm obvious like I'm not like huge on there at all, but that was my fastest growing social media when I first started my business and everything. So I definitely appreciate it. I actually want to get another one of the IKEA pegboards because they just work so well. And you can see I have more threads further down here that I need to get more of the little pegs. One of the things that I noticed with my machine sewing on an older Singer, I can't adjust the presser foot tension. So sometimes on the back, if I'm sewing and I'm not being really mindful of the seam, it like flips it on me the opposite way. I'm not sure if any of you guys ever struggle with that. It's not a huge problem. I just try to be mindful of it, but if you're really like mindful, if you're really particular about your seams and which they are going. There was so much more pieces in this pack than I remember, because when I was thinking of doing this for tonight, I'm like, oh, my idea on Tuesday nights is that whatever project that I'm working on, I like my lives to just, stay about an hour long. And I was worried that it was going to sew up so quickly that I'd be finished way ahead of time. But definitely not the case, which I'm glad for because, let me see. I'm trying to count. I have so many of these squares. I'm trying to see what the best matches are. Yeah, so this is the machine that I sew on is a Singer 5528. I believe it's from like 1981 or around there. It was my great aunt's sewing machine, and when I started teaching myself to sew, she asked me if I wanted it, and I said yes. And it sews through everything that I can I can't talk, sorry. Everything that I can put under the presser foot. So like right now I'm sewing quilt cotton, but I make bags all the time with it. I've made blankets with like Minky. You can use it for knit fabric, but I did buy a serger, but that's just because I'm in particular about how I want the stitches to look on that. All the gears inside are metal, so it has plenty of strength. I always tell people who are new to sewing or really want to try out bag making to look for some of these older machines because they're phenomenal for bag making. Sometimes I think like I want an industrial cylinder arm too because I do think it will make like the openings easier. But I'm also a really big proponent of you definitely can sew and make nice things with the equipment you have. So for me, it's also just about finding what works best for your machine. Oh, Nicole, good. I can't wait to see. It really is like, well, not wanting to go over the where I have the seam tonight of the, like where I've pressed it to one side or the other. So when that happens, I'm just switching it around, and I'll start from the other side and see if that helps. Oh, I bet. Yeah, the older Kenmores, it's funny because sometimes I do see them posted and they're like very similar in color. My aunt that gave me this machine, she's 88, and she's like, "Are you still using that machine I gave you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not getting rid of it at all. Like this thing is never gonna die. It will go through anything that I give to it." So I made one of my cousins, her daughter a baby bag, and it was I think it's called the Bell Baby Bag by Swoon, and it's supposed to be like a drop-in lining, but my brain could not wrap around how that was supposed to work. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just do it as like a bound bag. And at one point, I think there was like 18 layers that I was sewing through. It was nuts, and some of it I had to hand crank, but it finished it, and I was like, oh, never again. I'm not making one of these again on here. The bobbin goes underneath here. I'll show in 1 second. Let me just put this through. It goes underneath. It doesn't sit in on the top. Oh, that's awesome, Nicole. It's really cool too that your sister-in-law is using it. Yeah, I sometimes I get like sad when people are like, "Oh, domestics, you can't get the best quality." And like I understand what they're saying, but you can still make really nice quality bags on a domestic as long as like you're using a correct thread. Like I'm using a polyester Tex 35 and the right presser foot. So the bobbin goes in down here. There's a little door that opens up and it goes in vertically. I don't want to pull it out mostly because I don't want to have to rethread it. But yeah, it's easy to access, easy to clean. I was thinking I do need to oil this, and I do it all myself. So I was thinking of actually just making a video, not necessarily a tutorial, but just this is how I take apart my machine and do it. And that's the other thing that I like about the metal mechanical machines. Like I'm not afraid to tinker with it and oil it. I've never brought it into a shop to have it serviced. And honestly, my aunt gave me this machine 4 years ago now, probably. And I don't even know how many times she used it because to be honest, I didn't even know that she sewed until she asked me if I wanted it. And so it had sat there for years without being used, and I just oiled it and it was ready to go. Yeah, 100%. Like knowing your machine, and like I started sewing on a basic brother, and people are like, "Oh, use a Teflon foot." And with the brother, it did not work for me. And so I was like, "Oh, I don't know what people are talking about. Teflon isn't helpful." But on here, the Teflon foot works amazing. So it's definitely trying out different things and not being afraid to. Oh yeah, the top stitching, Krista, I agree with you. That can be a little bit, that's definitely the hardest part, I would say. Though sometimes when I am top stitching, I'm grateful to still have this arm piece here that I can remove instead of just trying to do it all on like a flatbed machine. And then sometimes it's funny because I'll literally put the bag like around here. So as I'm sewing, I'll put my hand so it doesn't hit all the gears and stuff coming up. I think sometimes, people are afraid to ask questions or post. Uh, but that's why I try, like, if I'm making mistakes, like my last live last week, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever had to unpick so many times. But I think it's really helpful to see where people have made mistakes or how they fix them. Because it's definitely all trial and error. I always laugh when people post in Facebook groups about like forgetting your zipper pull and joining that club. I've definitely done that so many times. Or like in my pre-recorded tutorials, I always try to put little anecdotes, like if I have made a mistake at a certain part, so people don't repeat that mistake. Alright, I think I'm going to add one more row to each of these smaller ones and then put it all together. And like I said, I'm hoping it gives me enough. I guess whatever I make out of it, I'll just have to check the pattern pieces first to make sure that it fits. And I really love these fabrics. They're I think it's called Shell Sisters. I'd have to look, but it's definitely by Free Spirit Fabrics, and I just love the look of it. It has like a very subtle beach theme. It's like calming. And I like changing up what I'm working on. I think experimenting with a variety of materials and patterns keeps me busy, and also it doesn't get boring because I'm just constantly trying new things. Krista, are you going to Sew Whatever Summit? Or is anybody on here going to Sew Whatever Summit? It's at Lauren Mormino's out in Illinois at the end of April. I'm teaching and I'm so looking forward to seeing everybody in real life, like in person. Any tips for a new quilter? Don't be afraid to just enjoy it and have fun. I learned how to quilt my very first quilt through cotton cuts. I find out of all the different things that I sew, quilting has the most like people that want to critique you, but I just try not to stress. I also am using an exact 1/4 inch. A lot of patterns will tell you use a scant 1/4 inch, and I'm atrocious. I cannot keep an even scant 1/4 inch, and so I was having my pieces like all messed up. So I just stick with the regular full 1/4 inch seam allowance. And definitely like if I'm trying to match up the corners here, and that's really important to me, either pinning or clipping on that seam first and then pinning the rest of your edges. I would say those are the two of the things that I wish I would have known when I started quilting. And for me, I like quilting is kind of more like therapeutic. So I try not to stress out about it as much as like maybe I would with a bag, with like my perfectionism and such. Yeah, I totally understand, Krista. I wasn't able to go last year, so I'm happy I'm able to make it work. And it did. I didn't expect it to sell out um, in just one day. But Lauren did say if the classes don't fill up, she's gonna open up some more tickets. So I'm anxious to see how the classes do with ticket sales. When I cut the thread, I just cut it too close and it pulled the thread out of the needle. So even though I'm threading this correctly with like the presser foot up, I find like sometimes it still will mess up the tension on the bobbin. So, and in that case, I have to pop the bobbin back out and redo it. So hopefully I don't have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to. On the back there, it's like looping. It's so funny how like you get used to it. It used to take me so long to like rethread and fix problems and figure out, is it tension or is it this or that. And now it's like, oh wow, when you kind of reflect back on your progress and how far you come. I'm going to add this one to the top and then attach these three together. And I still have a couple squares, a rectangle, and some triangles, but larger pieces. So I'm going to save those for if I need to add them, but I'm not going to add them tonight because they're not going to fit in like a orderly manner where it makes a complete rectangle or square. Oh, the fancy fours. Elizabeth Hartman's quilts look absolutely gorgeous, but I'm so intimidated because I know there's so much cutting and so many paces. I definitely want to see that progress, Nicole, because her stuff is so inspiring. I look at her patterns all the time, but I'm just like, I question myself. I'm like, could I do it? Maybe I need to get like, I know she has a couple patterns where it comes in like also comes in like a pillowcase size. So I'm like, maybe I need one of them and will, start small. This one does have seams. I'm flipping it onto itself. I'm gonna try to line them up the best I can, but I'm not gonna stress about it if they don't line up. Oh, a sew and flip. I'll have to check out. I've never seen her instructions or looked at it further than just browsing her website and admiring um, the patterns. And I also see in some of the quilting groups, like there's so many pieces that that people have made like Excel spreadsheets to keep it organized. And the other thing I find that, I don't know if I would say that I struggle with it, but I have so many things that I want to sew and work on, and just figuring out how to prioritize what exactly I want to do. Oh, that's smart. So will you cut out the entire quilt first, or will you work in sections? Because I always think that's interesting too. I started a quilt. I need to get a couple more fabrics, but I only cut out about 2 blocks at a time. So then I got like that dopamine of like, okay, I finished 2 blocks, and it motivated me to then cut the next one. Yeah, exactly, Krista. There's so many beautiful patterns and things to make and these ideas, and only so much time. Oh, that's awesome, Nicole. The Sasquatch one. All right, so I just added those two pieces together, so you can see it's literally random. Some pieces have similar, like same fabrics touching, but it's the nice thing that these were all part of the same, I don't know if you call it set, or same line. So they do blend together nicely. And this one's a little bit taller because of the rectangle block that's in here. So I'm just lining it up to one of the shorter edges, and we'll go from there. I think if I want to do a iPad sleeve or something, this will be enough. Depending on the bag, I might have to pair it with some vinyl or something. So. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, I was really, really inspired by this colorway. I normally go for bright colors, like Tula Pink is my favorite fabric or pattern designer. And so for this, it was a little bit out of my normal, but it's just so calming to me. They really did speak to me. I need to get the quilt top that I did long armed, because I want to use it as my bedspread because it's perfect. And like, yeah, you might be able to tell. I don't know if you can tell, but the walls are gray, so it matches perfect. And I like that with gray too. You can also add, pops of color, and it just matches so well. Like everything matches it. Ooh, that's a good idea. I'm going to look at the Brooklyn. I have a Swoon Lucy backpack that I have had cut out for like 2 months. So that is on my list of, I want to film that as a tutorial, like a pre-recorded one. Yeah, I definitely also have a hard time picking calmer colors or matching them. Sometimes, even with like fabrics and stuff, Jason helps pick out things because if it's up to me, everything would just be like super bright, like a rainbow. But yeah, so this was extra pieces from 1 month of a Cotton Cuts puzzle mystery quilt that I had an extra. So I definitely think, like, looking at it, I could get like the front and the back of a book sleeve or Kindle sleeve or something. So we'll see. I do, like I said, I do have these extra pieces here that I can work with, but I'm just gonna keep them separate for now. I'm not gonna sew them onto anything. And so then I'm gonna stop with this tonight, and then I'll show you. I have like a sealed package of Pellon fusible fleece. So it says it's 22 inches by a yard, 36 inches. So my plan is I'm just gonna put it behind this and quilt directly onto the fusible fleece. I've done that so far for a couple bags now, and it's worked out really, really well. So, but thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I always look forward to Tuesdays and chatting. So I hope to see you. I hope to see you next Tuesday. If you're active in my groups, like, definitely feel free to share. Nicole, I can't wait to go and look at your journal covers. So it always makes me so happy to get off the lives and then go into the group and see everything that people shared. So feel free, if you don't follow me in Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, to follow there. I try to be as active as possible. So I hope you guys are all staying warm if you are getting hit with the Arctic blast. And thank you so much for chatting with me. And I'll catch you next Tuesday night. Night. Bye.